She said, I'm just inspired. Inspired. She copied everything, my brand, my clients, my dream, until I took it all back. Some people steal money. My best friend stole my future. And the cruelest part, I almost let her. I still remember the bracelet. It was silver, thin, delicate, with a tiny compass charm that always pointed north. Mara gave it to me on my 26th birthday. We were sitting on her apartment floor. Pizza boxes everywhere, wine glasses half full. She fastened it around my wrist and said, "So you never lose your way." I wore it every single day after that. Mara wasn't just my best friend. She was my person. The one who showed up at 2 in the morning when I got food poisoning. The one who drove 6 hours to help me move out of my ex's place. The one I trusted with everything, including my dream. We met in college. She was studying marketing. I was in design. We clicked instantly. Late-night study sessions turned into brainstorming sessions. Coffee dates turned into business conversations. By the time we graduated, we had this unspoken understanding that one day, we'd build something together. And 5 years later, that day came. I had been working as a graphic designer for a small agency. The pay was decent, the work was fine, but I felt stuck, like I was designing other people's dreams instead of living my own. One night, I called Mara. "I think I'm ready," I said. "Ready for what?" she asked. "To start the thing, our thing." There was a pause, then I heard her smile through the phone. "Tell me everything." So I did. I told her about the idea I'd been sketching for months. A boutique branding studio. Not just logos and websites. Full identity packages for small businesses owned by women. We'd focus on authenticity, on storytelling, on making brands feel personal again. I had the design skills, she had the marketing know-how, it was perfect. We spent the next 3 months planning. Every weekend we'd meet at her place or mine. Spreadsheets, mood boards, client personas. We named the business Compass Creative. The name felt right, like we were helping people find their direction. I designed the logo myself, a minimalist compass rose in soft gold and navy blue. Clean, modern, warm. Mara loved it. "This is going to change everything," she said one Saturday afternoon. We were sitting at my kitchen table, notebooks everywhere, her laptop open to a draft business plan. "I know," I whispered. She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "We're doing this together, always." I believed her. We set a launch date, February 15th, 3 months away. I started building the website. She started drafting our social media strategy. We agreed to split everything 50-50. Equal partners, equal risk, equal reward. I put in my notice at the agency. My boss was disappointed but supportive. I had some savings, not much, but enough to survive for 6 months if I was careful. Mara still had her corporate marketing job. She said she'd quit once we had our first 3 clients. That was the plan. Everything felt like it was falling into place. Then December came. Mara started acting different. She'd cancel our planning sessions last minute. She'd respond to my texts hours later. When we did meet up, she seemed distracted, checking her phone constantly, taking calls in the other room. "Everything okay?" I asked one evening. "Yeah," she said quickly. "Just work stuff, crazy deadlines." I didn't push. I should have. By mid-January, I had the website almost finished. I sent her the link to review. "Looks great," she texted back. "Let's talk tomorrow." But tomorrow never came. She stopped responding altogether. I called, no answer. I texted, nothing. I even drove to her apartment. Her car wasn't there. I told myself she was busy, stressed, maybe dealing with something personal she wasn't ready to share. So I kept working. I finalized the website. I ordered business cards. I drafted our first email campaign. I even recorded a short video introduction for Instagram. Everything was ready. February 14th, the night before our launch. I couldn't sleep. I was too excited, nervous, hopeful. I opened Instagram to double-check our account one last time. And that's when I saw it. A new business page, North Star Branding Studio. The profile picture was a compass, gold and navy blue. My stomach dropped. I clicked on the page. The bio read, authentic branding for bold women in business, storytelling that feels personal. Those were my words. I scrolled down. The logo, the color palette, the font choices, the entire visual identity was almost identical to what I had created for Compass Creative. And the founder's name, listed right there in the bio. Mara Chen. I stared at my phone, my hands were shaking, my chest felt tight. This couldn't be real. I refreshed the page. It was still there. I checked the post date, the account had launched 4 days ago. She had gone live without me. I called her straight to voicemail. I texted, "What is this?" No response. I sat on my bedroom floor. The bracelet felt heavy on my wrist. And then I saw the second post. It was a carousel, 5 slides, professional photos of Mara sitting at a desk, smiling, confident. The caption read, "After months of dreaming, planning, and building in silence, I'm so excited to introduce North Star Branding Studio. This is for every woman who's ready to tell her story the right way. Let's build something real together." Build something real together. Those were the exact words I had written in our mission statement. The post had 63 likes, 12 comments, all congratulating her. I felt nauseous. I opened our shared Google Drive, the folder where we'd kept all our planning documents. It was empty. Every file, every spreadsheet, every mood board. Gone. She had deleted everything. No, not deleted. Downloaded, then deleted. I checked my email, nothing from her. No explanation, no apology, no acknowledgement. Just silence. I looked down at the bracelet on my wrist. "So you never lose your way." I wanted to rip it off. But I didn't. Instead, I sat there in the dark, phone in my lap, heart pounding. And I realized something that made my blood go cold. She hadn't been inspired by me. She had been studying me. Watching, waiting, taking notes. And when I wasn't looking, she took everything. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part came 3 days later. I spent those 72 hours in a fog. I didn't eat, barely slept. I kept refreshing her Instagram page like maybe it would disappear, like maybe I'd imagine the whole thing. But every time I opened the app, North Star Branding Studio was still there. Growing. By day 2, she had over 200 followers. By day 3, she'd posted a client testimonial. A client testimonial. That meant she'd already signed someone. I clicked on the post. It was a woman I didn't recognize, a small bakery owner in Portland. The testimonial gushed about how Mara had completely transformed her brand identity. The design in the photos looked just like my work, my style, my aesthetic. She wasn't just copying the idea. She was copying me. I finally got a response on day 4. Not from her. From a mutual friend, Jenna. Jenna texted, "Hey, saw Mara's new business. That's so cool you two are working together, congrats." My stomach twisted. I typed back, "We're not working together." 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Wait, what? Her Instagram says she's been planning this for months. I thought you were partners. I didn't respond. Instead, I opened Mara's Instagram again. I went back through every post, every caption, every comment. Nowhere did she mention me. Nowhere did she say this had been our idea. She had rewritten the story completely, made it hers, made me invisible. I finally called her again. This time, she answered. "Hey," she said, casual, like nothing had happened. "What the hell, Mara?" A silence. "You launched our business without me. You took everything. The name is different, but everything else." "It's not your business," she interrupted. Her voice was calm, too calm. You had an idea, I had an idea, they're similar, that happens. Similar, you copied my logo, my colors, my words. No, I was inspired, there's a difference. Inspired. That word again. We planned this together for 3 months, I said. My voice was shaking now. We had a launch date, we were supposed to be partners. Plans change, she said simply. You deleted all our files. Those were drafts, I made my own versions. With my designs. With similar aesthetics, you don't own a color palette. I felt like I was talking to a stranger. Why didn't you just tell me? I asked quietly. If you wanted to do it alone, why not just say that? She sighed like I was being exhausting. Because I knew you'd react like this, I knew you'd make it dramatic. Dramatic? You stole my work. I didn't steal anything, I built something on my own, and honestly, maybe that's what you should do too, instead of blaming me. The line went dead. She'd hung up. I sat there, phone still pressed to my ear. The silence was deafening. I wanted to scream, I wanted to throw something, I wanted to call her back and tell her exactly what I thought of her. But instead, I just cried. Because the betrayal wasn't just professional. It was personal. This was the girl who'd held my hand through breakups, who'd celebrated every small win with me, who'd told me I was capable of anything. And now she'd taken the one thing I'd trusted her with and made it hers. I looked down at the bracelet on my wrist. I unclasped it, set it on my desk, and I didn't put it back on. Over the next 2 weeks, I watched Mara's business grow. She posted every other day, behind-the-scenes photos, client sneak peeks, inspirational quotes about entrepreneurship. She was good at this, I had to admit that. She knew how to market herself, how to build hype, how to make people believe in her. Meanwhile, I was paralyzed. I'd built the Compass Creative website, I had the business cards, I had the email list ready to go. But I couldn't bring myself to launch. Because every time I looked at my own work, all I could see was her version of it, staring back at me from someone else's Instagram page. It felt tainted. I started getting messages. From people who'd seen North Star, from people who assumed I was involved. So proud of you and Mara. Your new business looks amazing. Finally doing the thing, congrats. Each message felt like a knife. I didn't correct anyone, I just stopped responding. Then one afternoon, I got an email. The subject line read, branding inquiry. I opened it. It was from a woman named Claire. She owned a small skincare line. She'd been looking for a branding studio and had come across my website. My heart jumped. This was it, my first potential client. I read through the email carefully. She wanted a full rebrand. Logo, packaging, website. She had a budget, a timeline, everything. I started typing a response. Then I stopped. Because in the back of my mind, I heard Mara's voice. Plans change. What if I launched Compass Creative and she accused me of copying her? What if potential clients saw both businesses and thought I was the one riding her coattails? What if I put all this work in, only to be seen as the knockoff? I closed the email. I didn't respond. I couldn't. That night I sat in my apartment, lights off, curtains drawn. I felt like I'd lost something I couldn't get back. Not just the business, but the belief that hard work and trust mattered. I thought about my mom, about something she'd told me when I was 12. We were sitting in the kitchen. She was cutting vegetables for dinner. I'd just come home crying because a friend had spread a rumor about me at school. People will take from you, she'd said quietly. Sometimes on purpose, sometimes without even realizing it, but you get to decide if they take your voice too. At the time, I hadn't understood. Now I did. Mara had taken my idea, my work, my trust. But she hadn't taken my voice. Not yet. I picked up my phone, opened Instagram, and I started typing. But before I could post anything, I got a notification. It was a DM from someone I didn't know. The message was short. Hey, I worked with North Star Branding. Just wanted to warn you, she's not who she says she is. I stared at the screen. My pulse quickened. I clicked on the profile. The account was private. No profile picture, just a name, Vanessa. I typed back, "What do you mean?" 3 dots appeared immediately. She didn't deliver half of what she promised. Took my deposit and ghosted. I'm not the only one. Check her reviews, the real ones. I felt my stomach turn. I thanked her, then I opened a new browser tab. And I started digging. For the next 3 days, I didn't leave my apartment. I sat at my desk, laptop open, notebook beside me, coffee going cold in the same mug I'd been using since Tuesday. I wasn't eating right, wasn't sleeping, I was obsessing. But I needed to know. I started with Google, searched North Star Branding Studio reviews. Nothing came up. Then I tried Facebook, local business groups, entrepreneur forums. Still nothing. Mara's Instagram looked flawless, curated, professional. Every post had engagement. Every client testimonial glowed. But something felt off. So I dug deeper. I found Vanessa's business page, the skincare line she'd mentioned. I scrolled through her posts until I found one from a month ago. It was a rant. Beware of branding experts who overpromise and underdeliver. I paid $2,000 upfront for a rebrand and got ghosted halfway through. No refund, no apology, just silence. Do your research before you hire anyone. She didn't name Mara directly. But the timeline matched. I kept searching. I found another woman, a photographer named Lindsay. She'd posted in a Facebook group for female entrepreneurs. Has anyone worked with North Star Branding? I signed a contract 2 weeks ago and haven't heard from the owner since. Getting worried. The post had 6 comments. Most of them were supportive, but one stood out. I worked with her. Same thing happened to me. She's great at selling the dream but terrible at follow-through. My chest tightened. This wasn't just about me anymore. Mara was scamming people. And she was doing it with my work, my designs, my voice. I felt sick. I wanted to reach out to these women, to apologize, to tell them I had no idea. But what would I even say? Sorry, my best friend stole my business plan and used it to con you. I closed my laptop, sat back in my chair, and for the first time in weeks, I felt something other than anger. I felt guilt, because in some twisted way, I felt responsible. If I hadn't trusted her, if I hadn't shared everything with her, if I'd just kept my idea to myself, none of this would have happened. These women wouldn't have lost money. I wouldn't have lost my dream. I picked up my phone, scrolled through old texts between me and Mara. There were hundreds of messages, photos of our planning sessions, voice memos where we'd brainstormed names, screenshots of inspiration. I stopped on one text from November. It was from her. I don't know what I'd do without you. You make me believe I can actually do this. I'd responded with a heart emoji. Now, reading it back, it felt like poison. She'd made me believe we were building something together. And the whole time, she was building an exit strategy. I put the phone down, looked around my apartment. It was a mess, dishes piled in the sink, laundry unfolded on the couch, mail unopened on the counter. I hadn't showered in 2 days. I felt like I was disappearing. Like I was letting her win. I used to think friendship meant safety. Now it just means evidence. That night I had a dream. I was 12 again, sitting in my childhood kitchen. My mom was at the stove. People will take from you, she said, not looking at me, just stirring something in a pot. But what if I let them? I asked. She turned around, looked me right in the eyes. Then you're not a victim, you're a volunteer. I woke up. It was 4 in the morning. The room was dark, quiet. But something inside me had shifted. I wasn't going to volunteer anymore. I got out of bed, walked to my desk, opened my laptop, and I started writing. Not a business plan this time. A list. Every woman who'd been scammed by Mara, every complaint I could find, every warning sign I'd ignored. I documented everything. Screenshots, dates, names, testimonials. By sunrise, I had a file, organized, detailed, damning. And I realized something. Mara had made a mistake. She'd assumed I'd stay quiet, that I'd be too hurt, too embarrassed, too defeated to fight back. But she'd forgotten something important. I wasn't just a designer. I was a storyteller. And every good story needs a villain who underestimates the hero. I picked up the bracelet from my desk. The one she'd given me. The compass charm still pointed north. I put it in a drawer. And I closed it. Some things don't deserve to be worn anymore. But they still deserve to be remembered. That afternoon, I got another email. It was Claire, the woman who'd reached out weeks ago about the branding project. The subject line read, "Still interested." I opened it. "Hi again, I know it's been a while since I reached out. I ended up going with another studio, but they didn't work out. I saw your portfolio again, and honestly, your work feels more authentic than anything else I've seen. If you're still available, I'd love to chat." I read it twice. Then I typed back, "Hi Claire, I'm available, let's talk." I hit send. And for the first time in weeks, I smiled. Because I realized something. Mara could copy my designs, my colors, my words. But she couldn't copy my integrity. And in the long run, that's what people remember. But I still had one question. If your best friend stole your dream and profited from it, would you fight back or let karma handle it? Claire and I had our first call 2 days later. She was warm, direct, honest. She told me about her skincare line, how she'd started it in her kitchen 3 years ago, how it had grown beyond what she'd imagined, how she was ready to take it to the next level. "But I need a brand that feels like me," she said, "not just pretty, real." I knew exactly what she meant. We talked for an hour. By the end of the call, she'd signed a contract. My first official client. I should have been thrilled. And I was. But there was still a knot in my stomach. Because while I was starting from scratch, Mara's business was thriving. Or at least, it looked like it was. That weekend, I got another DM. This time from Lindsay, the photographer who'd posted in the Facebook group. "Hey, someone told me you might know Mara Chen. I hired her for branding work and she's disappeared. I've been trying to get in touch for 2 weeks. Do you know how I can reach her?" My heart sank. I typed back, "I used to know her. We're not in contact anymore. I'm sorry she did this to you." Lindsay responded immediately. "Did she scam you too?" I hesitated. Then I told her everything. About Compass Creative, about how we'd planned it together, about how she'd launched without me and taken all our shared work. Lindsay replied, "Oh my God, I had no idea. I thought she seemed legit. Her Instagram is so polished." "That's the problem," I typed. "She's good at appearances." There was a pause, then. "Would you be willing to talk to the others? There's a small group of us. Women she's taken deposits from and then ghosted. We're trying to figure out if we have any legal options." I stared at the message. Legal options. This was bigger than I thought. "Send me the details," I wrote. 2 days later, I was on a Zoom call with 5 women. Vanessa, Lindsay, a woman named Priya who owned a jewelry line, another named Rachel who ran a wellness coaching business, and Simone, a baker. All of them had hired Mara. All of them had paid deposits up front. And all of them had been ghosted after receiving minimal work. "She sent me one logo draft," Priya said. Her voice was tight with frustration. "It was a generic template. I asked for revisions and she stopped responding." Same, Rachel added. I paid $1,500, got a mood board and nothing else. Simone was the most upset. She told me she'd have my full brand package done in 4 weeks. It's been 3 months. I've sent 20 emails. She's read every single one and hasn't replied to any of them. I felt my chest tighten. These weren't just upset clients. These were people whose businesses had stalled because of Mara's lies. I'm so sorry, I said quietly. It's not your fault, Vanessa said, but we need your help. How? You know her, you know how she operates, and honestly, Vanessa paused, we think you might have legal standing too. If she used your work without permission, that's theft. I hadn't thought about it that way. But she was right. Mara had taken designs I'd created, concepts I'd written, strategies I'd developed. And she was profiting from them. I'll help however I can, I said. We spent the next hour comparing notes, contracts, emails, timelines. The pattern was clear. Mara would respond quickly at first. She'd be charming, enthusiastic, she'd promise the world. Then, once she had the deposit, she'd go silent. She'd send 1 or 2 half-finished deliverables, then nothing. And when clients followed up, she'd either make excuses or ignore them completely. It was a con. A polished professional con. And she was getting away with it because she looked credible. After the call, I sat at my desk. I felt angry, but also something else. Determined. I opened my laptop, went to Mara's Instagram page. She just posted a new carousel, 5 slides, beautiful photos of her at a coffee shop, laptop open, notebook beside her, aesthetic and aspirational. The caption read, "Building a business isn't easy, but when you love what you do, it doesn't feel like work. Grateful for every client who trusts me with their story." The comments were full of praise. So inspiring. You're amazing. Can't wait to work with you. I felt sick, but I didn't look away. Because I realized something. Mara's biggest strength was also her biggest weakness. She was good at selling the dream, but she was terrible at delivering it. And eventually, people notice. I opened a new document, and I started writing again. Not a rant, not an expose. The plan. I wasn't going to tear Mara down publicly. I wasn't going to post call-out threads or leave angry reviews. Because that's not who I am. Instead, I was going to do something better. I was going to build what she couldn't. A real business with real clients and real results. I reached out to Claire. Told her I wanted to do something special for her project. Not just deliver what she'd asked for, but exceed it. I spent the next 2 weeks working harder than I ever had. I designed her logo from scratch, created her entire visual identity, built her website, wrote her brand story. And when I sent her the final files, she cried. "This is exactly what I wanted," she said on our call. "No, it's better than what I wanted, you understood me." She posted about the rebrand on Instagram. Tagged me. Wrote a testimonial that made my chest ache in the best way. If you're looking for a designer who actually listens and delivers, work with Compass Creative. This process was seamless, personal, and worth every penny. Within 24 hours, I got 3 more inquiries. One of them was from someone who'd almost hired Mara. "I saw her page," the woman wrote, "but then I saw yours, and honestly, your work feels more authentic. Hers feels copied." I smiled. Because she was right. Mara had taken my aesthetic. But she hadn't taken my voice. And people could tell the difference. Over the next month, something started to happen. Word spread. Not about Mara's scam, but about my work. Client after client posted about their experience with me, about how I'd listened, how I'd delivered, how I'd made them feel seen. And slowly, people started to notice. I got a message from Priya, the jewelry designer who'd been scammed. "Hey, I know this is random, but would you be willing to take me on as a client? I need someone I can trust." I said yes. Then Simone reached out, then Rachel. One by one, the women Mara had abandoned came to me. And I helped them. Not because I wanted revenge, but because it was the right thing to do. And also because I realized something important. Mara hadn't just stolen my idea. She'd handed me an opportunity to prove that authenticity beats aesthetics, that integrity outlasts hype, that real work speaks louder than polished captions. By the end of month 2, Compass Creative had 12 clients. Mara's Instagram was still active, but the engagement had dropped. The comments were fewer, the likes were slower. And the DMs I was getting told me why. I hired North Star and she never delivered. Do you have availability? I almost worked with Mara but heard she's unreliable. Are you taking new clients? Your work is so much better than hers. How do I book a consultation? I wasn't trying to sabotage her. I was just doing good work. And people noticed. One evening, I got a notification. Mara had posted. I almost didn't look. But curiosity got the better of me. It was a long caption, vulnerable, raw. Running a business is harder than I thought. I've made mistakes. I'm learning. I'm growing. Thank you to everyone who stuck with me. The comments were mixed. Some were supportive. Others were not. You ghosted me after I paid you. Where's my refund? Learning and growing is great, but you owe people money. This feels like damage control. I closed the app. I didn't need to see any more. Because I knew what was happening. The truth was catching up. And no amount of aesthetic posts could outrun it. That night, I sat at my desk. Looked at the list of clients I'd worked with. Thought about the women I'd helped. And I realized something. Mara had tried to take my dream. But she'd actually given me something better. A purpose. 3 months after Mara launched North Star, I got a text. From her. I almost deleted it without reading. But I didn't. It said, "Can we talk?" I stared at the message for a long time. Part of me wanted to ignore it, to let the silence stretch on forever. But another part of me needed closure. I typed back about what? 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Everything, I owe you an apology. I didn't respond right away. I let her sit with it. Finally, I wrote coffee, Saturday, 2 p.m., the place on 5th. She replied immediately, I'll be there. Saturday came. I got to the coffee shop early, ordered a latte, sat in the corner booth by the window. My hands were shaking. I hadn't seen Mara in person since all of this started. At 2:05, she walked in. She looked different, thinner, tired. Her hair wasn't styled the way it used to be. She wasn't wearing makeup. She saw me, waved awkwardly, ordered a coffee, then slid into the booth across from me. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then she said, "Thank you for meeting me." I nodded. She took a breath. I've been a terrible person. I didn't argue. She continued. I convinced myself it was okay, that we'd both had the same idea, that I was just faster, but that's not true. I stole from you. I used your work, your trust, and I hurt you. Her voice cracked. I stayed quiet. I don't know what I was thinking, she said. I wanted it so badly. The success, the recognition. I saw you building this amazing thing and I wanted it for myself. And instead of asking to be part of it, I just took it. She wiped her eyes. And then it all fell apart. I took a sip of my latte. What do you mean? She laughed bitterly. I couldn't keep up. I was good at the marketing part, the pretty photos, the captions, but the actual work, the design, the client communication, I had no idea what I was doing. She paused. I took on too many clients, made promises I couldn't keep, and when people started asking for refunds, I panicked. I ghosted them. I thought if I just ignored it, it would go away. It didn't, I said quietly. No, it didn't. She looked down at her coffee. I got a lawyer's letter last week from one of the clients. She's suing me. I already knew, Vanessa had told me. I'm probably going to have to shut down, Mara continued. I don't have the money to pay everyone back. I don't have the skills to finish the projects, and my reputation is destroyed. She looked up at me. I destroyed it, and I deserve it. I didn't disagree. But I also didn't gloat. Because sitting across from her, I didn't feel victorious. I just felt sad. Why did you ask to meet? I asked. Because I owe you more than an apology. I owe you the truth. She reached into her bag, pulled out a folder, slid it across the table. I opened it. Inside were printed copies of all the files she'd taken from our shared drive, the original Compass creative documents, the mood boards, the drafts. I kept them, she said. I don't know why, maybe because I knew I'd need to give them back someday. I looked through the pages. There it all was. My handwriting in the margins, my notes, my ideas. I can't undo what I did, she said, but I can at least give you this. It's yours, it always was. I closed the folder. What are you going to do now? I asked. And she shrugged. I don't know, get a regular job, I guess. Pay back what I owe. Try to figure out who I am without pretending to be you. There was a long silence. Then I said something I didn't expect to say. You're talented, Mara. You are. You're good at marketing, at storytelling, at connecting with people. She looked surprised. But Yuri tried to build something on a foundation that wasn't yours, and that's why it fell apart. She nodded slowly. I know. And I took a breath. If you'd just been honest with me from the start, if you'd said you wanted to do your own thing, we could have stayed friends, maybe even collaborated sometimes. But you chose deception, and that's what destroyed everything. I'm sorry, she whispered. And for the first time, I believed her. Not because the apology fixed anything, but because I could see she finally understood what she'd lost. We sat there for a few more minutes. Then she stood up. I won't bother you again, she said, but I needed you to know I'm sorry for all of it. She left her coffee on the table, walked out, and I watched her go. I thought I'd feel relief or anger or something dramatic. But I just felt finished. Like a chapter had finally closed. I picked up the folder, took it home, put it in a drawer. Not to forget, but to remember that some things are worth protecting. And some people aren't worth your trust. Over the next 2 months, things shifted completely. Mara shut down North Star Branding Studio. She posted a final message on Instagram. It was short, honest, apologetic. She acknowledged her mistakes, offered refunds to everyone she could, and disappeared from social media. Meanwhile, Compass Creative grew. Not explosively, not overnight, but steadily, authentically. I worked with women who had real stories to tell, who needed someone to listen, someone to see them. And I gave them that. Every project I took on, I poured myself into it completely. I didn't cut corners, I didn't overpromise, I didn't ghost anyone. I just did good work. And people talked about it. By month 6, I had a waiting list. By month 9, I'd hired a part-time assistant. By the 1-year mark, Compass Creative had worked with 43 clients. Every single one of them left a 5-star review. Every single one of them referred someone else. And every single one of them told me the same thing. You made me feel seen. That was the difference. Mara had sold a fantasy. I delivered a feeling. One afternoon, I got an email from Claire. She'd been my first real client, the one who'd believed in me when I was still rebuilding. The subject line read, "Thank you." I opened it. Hi, I just wanted to reach out because my business hit a huge milestone this week. We launched in 3 new retail stores, and I truly believe it's because of the branding work you did. You didn't just design a logo. You helped me find my voice, and I'll never forget that. Thank you for seeing me when I couldn't see myself." I read the email 3 times. Then I sat back in my chair. And I cried. Not sad tears. Grateful ones. Because I realized something profound. Mara had stolen my business plan. But she couldn't steal my purpose. And purpose is what builds something real. That evening, I was cleaning out my desk drawers. I found the bracelet. The silver one with the compass charm. I held it in my hand. Turned it over. The engraving on the back was still there, tiny, almost invisible. "So you never lose your way." I smiled. Because I hadn't lost my way. I'd found it. Not through revenge, not through bitterness, not through exposing her or tearing her down, but through doing the work I was meant to do. I put the bracelet back in the drawer. Not because I was holding onto the past, but because it reminded me of something important. People will take from you, they'll copy you, betray you, underestimate you. But they can't take your integrity. They can't take your voice. And they can't take your ability to choose who you become after the betrayal. I chose to build something real. And that made all the difference. A few weeks later, I got one more message. From Jenna, the mutual friend who'd congratulated me back when she thought Mara and I were partners. "I just saw what really happened between you two. I had no idea. I'm so sorry, but also, I'm so proud of you. You handled it with so much grace, and your business is incredible. You're incredible." I smiled. Typed back, "Thank you. I'm just doing what I love." And I meant it. Because at the end of the day, that's what mattered. Not the betrayal. Not the revenge. Not even the justice. What mattered was that I'd built something that reflected who I really was. Something no one could copy. Something no one could take. On the 1-year anniversary of Compass Creative's launch, I hosted a small celebration. Just me and a few clients, wine, cheese, laughter. We sat in my apartment, the same space where I'd cried on the floor a year ago, where I'd felt defeated, lost, invisible. Now it was full of people who saw me, who valued me, who trusted me. Claire raised her glass. To the woman who taught me that authenticity is the best brand strategy. Everyone cheered. And I felt it. The full circle moment. The proof that doing the right thing, even when it's hard, even when it takes longer, is always worth it. That night, after everyone left, I sat on my couch. Opened Instagram. Searched for North Star Branding Studio. The page was gone. Deleted. I searched for Mara's personal account. Still there but private now, no posts visible. I didn't send a follow request. I didn't need to. Because my story wasn't about her anymore. It was about me. About the business I'd built from the ashes of betrayal. About the clients I'd served with everything I had. About the woman I'd become when I chose integrity over bitterness. I opened my own Instagram. Posted a photo of the celebration, the women laughing, the wine glasses raised. And I wrote, "1 year ago I launched Compass Creative with nothing but a dream and a laptop. It wasn't easy, it wasn't fast, but it was real. Thank you to every client who trusted me, every woman who believed in me, every person who showed me that authentic work always finds its audience. Here's to year 2. I hit post. And I logged off. Because I didn't need the validation anymore. I already knew the truths. Some people build empires on lies. But they crumble fast. Others build slowly, with honesty, with care, with purpose. And those foundations last. I walked to my desk. Opened the drawer. Took out the bracelet. And this time I put it on. Not because I forgave Mara. But because I forgave myself. For trusting her, for doubting myself, for almost letting her win. The compass charm still pointed north. And now so did I. Family tried to take what they didn't understand. No. Friends tried to take what they didn't build. But truth has roots deeper than greed. And in the end, authenticity always wins. Not loudly, not dramatically, but quietly, steadily, inevitably. Mara taught me that you can copy someone's aesthetic, but you can't copy their soul. And business, real business, is built on soul. I sat down at my desk, opened my laptop, and I started drafting a new project. Because the work doesn't stop. It never stops. But now I do it on my own terms. With my own voice. With my own integrity. And no one can take that from me. Not anymore. Have you ever had to rebuild after someone you trusted betrayed you? Tell me your story in the comments. And if this resonated with you, subscribe for more real stories about survival, strength, and starting over.